Welcome, everyone. Please have a seat. We're going to get started. We can sing today, so join me in our opening song.
Wilbur and Orville had a dream. Nothing is impossible. Imagine if a man took wing. Nothing is impossible. People laugh, it can't be done. Man's not meant to fly. Their little dream changed everything. They dared to touch the sky. Nothing is impossible. Dreams are made to shine. When you blow by every obstacle and move like you're unstoppable, nothing is impossible. There's a place inside of you where nothing is impossible. Oh, the great things you will do, 'cause nothing is impossible. You were born into this world with everything you need. Hold on to your heart, the magic starts the moment you believe. Nothing is impossible. Dreams are made to fly. When you blow by every obstacle and move like you're unstoppable, nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. You were born to shine. When you blow by every obstacle and move like you're unstoppable, nothing is impossible.
Well, thanks. Have a seat. Well, I'm so glad that you were able to make it today. I was driving through a pouring rainstorm. I tell you, I'm not sure if I would have turned around, except that I was supposed to be on the podium today and be the chaplain. So I thought, I guess I should show up. So I'm glad you all did too. I'm Kevin Rieger, and I wanted to mention that we are back to having a chaplain program here at the church, a prayer chaplain. There are, is it 5 or 6 of us? I don't remember. There's 5 or 6 of us that went through Unity Prayer Chaplain training with Reverend Brian Griffith. And so every week there'll be one of us here. We will take the prayers during the service. And then after service, if anyone wants to have a prayer one-on-one, we'll probably sit over in that corner and we'll sit there for a while. We'll pray over the prayer box. If anyone comes up, we'll pray with you. So please feel free to take advantage of that. And I hope you do. So let's join me in the statement of faith. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God, the good omnipotence. In our affirmation, thank you, God, that we have come to this place to release the past, celebrate the present, and embrace the future in love, peace, harmony, and prosperity. In our congregational affirmation, we at the Unity Center are loving, diverse, inclusive, spiritual community who come together to demonstrate and live the teachings of Jesus Christ by listening, learning, and empowering ourselves and others. All right, I will take prayer requests at this time. Anyone? Andy? Okay. Barry? Okay, so successful surgery and healing. Okay. Okay. Anybody else? I do have a request here uh, from Dorothy for her granddaughter, or great granddaughter, Skylar and Cadence. They're going through an operation and they want to have perfect healing and perfect outcome of the operation. So. And as always, we want to affirm full and complete finances for our parking lot when we do decide to fix it. And we would like to affirm the right and appropriate minister be led to us to help lead us in our next chapter. So let's take these prayers into silence and affirm that God knows what is needed in every situation. God is here to provide loving strength, courage, divine wisdom, and perfect health and finances to all of us. Know that in God's perfect time, all concerns are answered, all challenges are rectified. And we can rest in the peace of God, knowing that these prayers are heard, that their outcomes are already assured. Amen. All right, the daily word is remembrance, and I strong arm Sue into saying it today.
Good morning. Remembrance. You live in my heart. Whether they have passed on recently or many years ago, the people for whom I have cared deeply are alive in my heart. If I feel sad or lonely for those I miss, I pause to recall a special memory or something unique about them that made even ordinary days feel magical. Reflecting on the love and joy we shared and the blessings their lives afforded me, I feel comforted. I am thankful that these memories will always be mine to treasure. I know that life does not end with death. Life is eternal, and my loved ones will always be beautiful, loved expressions of spirit. I am grateful those who have passed from this life experience continue to live in spirit and are forever in my heart. For the righteous will never be moved, they will be remembered forever. Psalm 112:6.
Thank you, Sue. And now I would like to introduce our special guest, Sherry Hansen. So take it away, Sherry.
It's great to be here with you today. Again, twice in 1 week. Namo, 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 Namo. Anjani Nanda. Jai Sri Ram, Jai Jai Hanuman. Jai Sri Ram, Jai Jai Hanuman. Jai Sri Ram, Jai Hanuman. Jai Sri Ram, Jai Hanuman. Jai Hanuman. Jai Bajranga Bali, Baba Hanuman. Jai Bajranga Bali, Jai Hanuman. Sankatamocha Kripaneha. Sankatamocha Kripaneha.
Well, I would like to welcome up our speaker for today. Russ Ganant is going to come up here and deliver our spiritual message. So come on up, Russ.
Morning. Give me just a second here. Let's do something while he was taking prayer requests. So we have Green Bay Packers. Nope. 17-0. Good morning. I'm glad to be up here again. It's been a while. This is a Unity Center. And what I will probably do every time I speak is review what Unity believes, because I think it's important. And over the years, I've been in Unity for a long time. And over the years, people will come up to me and say, well, what is Unity? What does that involve? And Unity Village finally put together this list of 5 things that we hold in mind as being indicative of what unity is. And so I want to go through those again this morning quickly. The first one is we believe there is one power and one presence active in this universe and in our lives, and that is God the good, omnipotent, absolute good, everywhere present. We start our service with this thought every Sunday. 2, we believe that we human beings have a spark of divinity within us, the Christ spirit within. We believe that we are made in the image and likeness of God. We believe that God is good, and therefore we too are inherently good. We believe there is nothing we have ever or could ever say or do that would make God love us less. There's nothing we have ever or could ever say or do that would make God love us more. There's no fear in this church, and we believe we deserve all good things. 3, we believe that we create our experiences by the activity of our thinking. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind is one way of expressing this divine law. Our thoughts create our reality. We are what we think. And this is the part that gets a lot of attention. Our library is filled with books that tell us we can achieve great things by changing the way that we think. Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich. A number of years ago, Rhonda Byrne wrote The Secret, and Charles Fillmore wrote a book called Prosperity. So think of the power in that statement. We can change what we are by how we feel and how we think. And the 4th belief that we have here in Unity is we believe in the power of our words. Our thoughts become our words become our actions. We can use words to affirm the presence of God in our lives. We can use words to deny the power of events to control how we think and feel. Charles Fillmore said, the cornerstone of unity is prayer. He said, prayer is the opening of communication between the mind of man and the mind of God. Prayer is the exercise of faith in the presence and power of the unseen God. Supplication, faith, meditation, silence, concentration are mental attitudes that enter into and form part of prayer. And the real foundation of all effective prayer is the understanding that God is spirit and that we, his offspring, are his image and likeness. Hence, we are spiritual beings. We must pray believing that we will receive. In his book, Jesus Christ Heals, Charles says the highest form of prayer is to open our minds and quietly realize that the one omnipresent intelligence knows our thoughts and instantly answers, even before we have audibly expressed our desires. And finally, number 5, we believe that knowing and understanding the laws of life, the truth that will set us free, is not enough. We must live the truth. We must walk the talk. And this 5th principle is the one that I want to focus on this morning. Charles says, it's not sufficient to sit down and hold thoughts of abundance without further effort. That is limiting the law to thought alone. We want it to be fulfilled in manifestation as well. Cultivating ideas of abundance is the first step in the process. The ideas that come must be used. Be alert in doing whatever comes to you to do, cheerful and competent in the doing, sure of the results, for it is the second step in the fulfilling of the law. The problem is we can do the first part, the thinking part, because that's kind of easy. But it's the doing that we sometimes fall flat. And even in doing, how often are we giving it our all? And how often are we just doing a so-so job? There are many persons who will be prosperous and have made up their minds as they think very determinedly. But they have not overcome all doubts. And when their demonstration is delayed, as it is in such cases, the doubt increases until they lose faith altogether. What they need is more persistence and determination. More Charles Schulman. I love reading Charles Schulman. Now, according to the Oxford Dictionary of the English Language, perseverance is persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. Do we let difficulties discourage us? How often do we stop short of our goal? Perseverance is one of my strong suits. I think I'm the guy that crashes in the mountains or crashes in the desert and walks out, putting one foot in front of the other. For some reason, I have this ability to kind of keep going. And that's what I want to talk about this morning. Now, I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. My father was a self-employed architect. I had a brother that was in a business owner. I was trained as an electrical engineer. I spent 15 years in the corporate world. And then in 1994, I went out to work for my brother out in Arizona. Now, my life in the corporate world was interesting. I learned a lot, but what I learned is that corporations can be really hard on people. It's hard to work inside a corporation. There's so many different things that are going on there. There's the politics, there's the pressures of business, and corporations can be very hard on people. So when I was out working for my brother, I thought, it'd be neat to build a business myself that was a place that people like to come and work. The problem with corporations is that if you are a corporation and you have 50 people working for you and they all have a crummy day at work, then they go home and they have a crummy day with their family. And all of a sudden that 50 people is turned into 100 people and a crummy day. And I thought, how cool would it be if you could create a business where you had 50 people and they were happy people. And when they went home, they played with the dog and played with the kids and kissed their wives. That was kind of my objective, to create a business that was fun to be in. Now, my brother Richard out in Arizona, and I would commute to Arizona on Monday and I would come back on Friday while I had 3 little kids. God bless my wife. My brother Richard was in the compact disc business. He happened to be, at the time, one of the largest users of compact discs in the United States. He'd put together some promotional items. They were selling like gangbusters. Compact discs were brand new, so they were the thing that everybody wanted. And my brother was quite successful in putting together this business that sold a lot of compact discs. And I thought, this is pretty neat. I'm a manufacturing guy. I love making things. And I love making things over and over and over again. So the compact disc business seemed to be perfect for me. And I thought, this should be relatively easy for me to do. I have a brother that would become a customer of mine using millions of compact discs a year. So I thought, why don't I see if I can figure out a way to put together a manufacturing facility that makes compact discs. In late 1994, I did my episode with cancer. Everything turned out well, but I quit working for my brother at that time because commuting was getting hard. And I now had a choice. I could either go back into the corporate world and find a job, or I could start this business that I had been thinking about. Now, I needed a lot of money to do this. I needed into the millions of dollars to put together a facility to make compact discs. But my brother was using millions of discs. And at the time, a disc sold for 70 cents, or the manufactured cost of a disc was 70 cents. So 70 times a million is a lot of money. 70 times multi-millions is more money. So I figured this was going to be relatively easy for me to do if you're a real estate investor and you can come up with a corporate office building where before it's even built, you have all the leases signed. It's relatively easy to go to the bank and get a loan to do that. And so I thought, that's where I was. I had a captive customer that would order millions of discs from me. And so I thought, all I need to do is put together a business plan, take that out to a bank and some investors, and I'd get the money that I need. I must have talked to 1,000 people. Kinko's knew me kind of personally because I was in there all the time revising my business plan. I'd go talk to somebody and they would say, well, that's good, but I don't like this. So I'd go back and I'd change my business plan, and then I'd go back to Kinko's and I'd reprint it again. And then I'd go out and I'd talk to the next guy. And every conversation I had led into the next conversation with the next guy. So there never was a way for me to stop doing what it was that I was doing, because I would sit at my desk in the morning and I would make phone calls and I would write letters and I would talk to people. And then I'd be done about noon. But I couldn't quit because this guy was going to call me on Thursday. And this guy was going to call me on Friday, and I was going to hear from this guy next week when he got back from out of town. So I was always waiting. I always had to wait for tomorrow so that I could take care of tomorrow's business. There really wasn't a way for me to say, the heck with this, I quit. 1 year led to 2. And 2 years led to 3. Christmases and birthdays came and went. My poker buddies wanted an intervention because I'd been working for 3 years to develop this business plan that would allow me to get money to start this business. I had 3 small kids at home. I was at the end $60,000 in credit card debt. I was kind of stuck. I had to put this together or I was going to be doomed. Now, I was getting nowhere. And a part of the problem was, as time went on, the cost of a compact disc went down. So in order for me to be profitable, I'd have to make more compact discs. Now, that's not a problem. My brother was using them. But in order to make more compact discs, I had to buy more equipment. Buying more equipment made the price of entry higher. And so that made all of my investors nervous. So as time went on, it started to become harder and harder and harder for me to do what it was that I wanted to do. So back then it was 70 cents to make a compact disc. Today you can get a compact disc made for 7 cents. So the prices dropped considerably. So I was kind of stuck. But then in 1997, the recordable compact disc came into play. And I don't know, there's compact discs where the data is put on the disc at the factory. And then there's these recordable compact discs that I'm sure you're all familiar with, where the disc is made blank, and then you get to record on it, whatever it is that you want to record on it. Well, that was kind of neat. That allowed small businesses and people to make their own discs. The problem was there was no way to label them. The machine required to label a compact disc was about $500,000. So the first compact disc labels on recordable discs were actually magic markers. That's what you would get. You get a compact disc where somebody wrote on it with a magic marker, what it was, business plan or whatever it was. It was long before paper labels and inkjet printers and all of those things. Well, as the recordable disc business became larger, I looked at my plan and I said, you know, I don't need to make the disc. All I need to do is print on the disc. And if I can just print on the disc, I can capture that part of the business. And it reduces the amount of capital I require to get my business started. So I changed my business plan again, ran down to Kinko's and had it printed. And now I'm looking for a whole lot less money in order to get this business started to just print on compact discs. Now, that ended up being a pretty significant change in my business plan. I really wanted to make compact discs. There's the whole process from bringing plastic into the facility to shipping discs out the door was, in my mind, this phenomenal process. And I really, really, really wanted to do it. And giving up the making compact discs part so that I could just print on them, that took me a long time to do. I just didn't want to do it. And I was stubborn. And I thought, well, I'm a Unity student. You think about it, you should be able to make it happen. So I was focused on making that happen. Well, luckily, I finally changed my mind. And Myrtle Fillmore, in her book, How to Let God Help You, she says, it's much more important to change and do that which is really best for our progress and our health than it is to be smugly consistent or to make the excuse that we have always done thus, and so it is too late to change now. And that was my problem. I was stubborn in what I wanted, not what the universe needed or wanted. I wanted to make the CD, and nothing was going to stop me. So changing my business plan made it a whole lot easier. Now, about that time in late 1997, there was a machine that became available in Chicago by the manufacturer of these machines that print on discs. That was available in Chicago. It was $575,000. And I needed that machine. If I was going to do this business, I had to have that machine, and they weren't making that many of them. And if that machine was bought by somebody else, it could take 10 or 11 months to get a different one. Now, that's going to make it hard for me to sell to my investors. So I needed that machine, and I talked them into hanging on to it for a while. And finally, I had to put money where my mouth was. So I had to borrow $10,000 and give them $10,000 and essentially put a $500,000 machine on the layaway. Now I was committed. I had $10,000 of money on this machine with no business to use it in. Now in March of 1998, I managed to get a group of investors together in my lawyer's office. This was really exciting. After 3 years, I had 5 people that, in talking with them, wanted to sit down and make this work. So that was a Tuesday night. I sat in my lawyer's office and I was excited and I thought this is all going to come together. And I watched over the next 90 minutes, the whole thing fall apart because one guy wanted something that the other guy didn't want to give. And it got to where finally we could not put a business together. It just was not going to work. These were not the right people. So that Tuesday night I went home and everything that I had worked on for 3 years was now down the drain. Out of these thousands of people I had talked to, I had 5 and they went away. And I still had a really nice machine on layaway. I was kind of stuck. I wish I could tell you what I did Tuesday night when I got home. I don't remember. Did I sit down and pray? Did I climb into bed? What is it that I did? I don't remember. That night is kind of a blur. What I do know is that Wednesday morning, I got a call from a friend of mine who's an accountant. And he said, Russ, I have 2 people that want to talk to you. Can you meet them Thursday night? And I said, sure, I can meet them Thursday night. So Thursday night, I went downtown Milwaukee and I presented my business plan to these 2 investors. Friday, I was in my bank with these two investors. And I was taking a check from them for $500,000 to get my business started. Now, 3 days ago, everything that I had worked on for 3 years disappeared. And now it was 3 days later, and it had all come together. So imagine if I had given up after that first failure. I never would have had the success that I then had. Now, there were many dark nights of the soul before that happened. Charles Fillmore says, if your prosperity does not become manifest as soon as you pray and affirm God as your substance, your supply and your support, refuse to give up. Show your faith by keeping up the work. You have plenty of scriptures to back you up. Jesus taught it from the beginning to the end of his ministry and demonstrated it in many occasions. Now, throughout this process, there were many naysayers. Like I said, my poker buddies thought I was nuts. They wanted intervention. They wanted to come and get me and make me go apply for a job somewhere. One of the things I found out in talking to people is that you have an idea and you talk to somebody about it and they say, no, you can't do that. And the only reason they're saying, no, you can't do that is because they don't know how to do it. It's not that it can't be done. It's just that they don't know how to do it. And rather than tell you they don't know how to do it, they will tell you, no, that can't be done. So you can't listen to the no's from the people that are out there. And you've got to have faith. Charles Fillmore again says, faith is the highest expression of belief or confidence. It is something in man which says, I believe in the possibilities of things that I cannot see. I believe in the possibility of divine mind doing in this age, right now, everything that was ever done in any age. When I believe this and hold to it, putting aside all doubt and whatever suggests failure, the thoughts of faith begin to accumulate substance and fulfillment follows. So 1998, I ran my business for 10 years. 2008 came along and there was a couple of things that were happening at the same time. The compact disc business was slowly slowing down as more and more online things were happening, less and less compact discs were being used. And then the big thing in 2008 was the banking crisis, which wasn't good for children and other living things. And those two things combined to close my business, which is another story for some other Sunday. I just forgot what I was going to say. One of the things I learned in the business was that business had its ups and downs. And one of the things I learned is that you just kind of have to wait it out. And I like to think in terms of 5 years. If you don't like where you are now, wait 5 years because things are going to be completely different. Today is the anniversary of 9/11. 9/11, I was 2 years old in my business, and it wasn't a good time for me. And I remember sitting in my office thinking, jeepers, how am I going to do this? I had just leased some more office space. I had piled on some more expenses. And now the economy was collapsing along with 9/11. 5 years later, I was fat, dumb, and happy again. So discouragement comes, but you've got to continue to have faith that it's going to turn out. And I'm telling you, every 5-year cycle for me turned out very well. So that's my story. Now let's review. God is everywhere and always present in every circumstance. This divine energy underlies and animates all of existence. Human beings are immensely good because they are connected to and an expression of spirit. Our thoughts have creative power to influence events and determine our experiences. Prayer and meditation connect and align to us in our own spirit, align us to our own spiritual nature and to God. And finally, it is not enough to understand spiritual teachings. We must apply our learning in all areas of life, incorporating them into our thoughts, words, and actions. And I hope I've helped you with this morning, will help you with that fifth principle. So now let's take this into a meditation. Make yourself comfortable. Take a deep breath, let it out. Bring into your thoughts something you are trying to accomplish. Review the inspiration for this desire. Is it what you really want? Review your thoughts and actions to date. Is there anything you can or should change as circumstances change? Reaffirm that which you are trying to accomplish. Now turn that over to spirit, knowing that the perfect solution is working its way to you. In your mind's eye, see the people and events that will help you achieve that goal. Reach out and touch them. Draw a line of light between you and them. Let them know you are looking for them. That you are waiting for them. Know that they will appear at the right and perfect time. Reaffirm that which you are trying to accomplish. Sit and listen. Again, reaffirm that which you are trying to accomplish. So again, a quick prayer for Green Bay Packers. slowly come back into this room. Open your eyes. Thank you.
Thanks, Russ. And now comes a time in our service where we take out our gifts and help to ensure that we can keep the doors open and the lights on. We can keep our mission here in Wauwatosa as a welcoming community and a service to others flowing into the future. So just join your gift in your hand and repeat with me. There is no lack or limitation. Freely I give and freely I receive from God's abundance. I am blessed as I give, and unity is blessed in receiving. And we will have Sherry sing another song.
One of my favorite phrases in Sanskrit is Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. And it means, may all the beings in all the world be happy and free. Make me a channel of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me bring your love. Where there is injury, your pardon, Lord. And where there's doubt, true faith in you. Make me a channel of your peace. Where there's despair in life, let me bring hope. Where there is sadness, only light. And where there's darkness, ever joy. Grant that I may never see so much to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, and to be loved as to love with all my soul. Make me a channel of your peace. It is in pardoning we are pardoned, and giving of ourselves that we receive, and in dying that we're born to eternal life. Make me a channel of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me bring your love. Where there is injury, your pardon, Lord. And where there's doubt, true faith in you. Loka
All right, thanks, Sherry. And Linda's bringing up our gifts. So please get in a prayerful attitude and help me to bless these donations. We know that they are given in a spirit of love. We know that God receives them with joy and will multiply them and their effectiveness in all that we do here at our center and here in our community. In the Christ Spirit's name. Amen. All right, announcements. Sandy, do you want to come up? This is a little out of order, but we want to make a little bit of a big deal of what's going on next Sunday. So go ahead, Sandy.
So next Sunday after service, we're going to have our usual snacks and goodies, but we're going to have a few extra snacks and goodies. And the best goodie is going to be a game afternoon. Now, if you've ever played board games, card games with a bunch of friends, you know how crazy, silly, and fun it can get to be. And our autism group has a vast collection of games that we have stored here that will bring out a collection of things for people to choose from. So there can be various games at various tables. And it's always a good time. It's always fun to see different sides of the people that you may sit in service with, because we can get pretty creative and we can get pretty silly. And I have a friend who doesn't drive that I take out shopping periodically, and she is my shopping fairy. And because I was with her, I found a game called Kids Against Maturity. I guarantee you that if we play this game next Sunday, there will be a lot of silliness, because this is an hysterical game that I found just because I was shopping with my shopping fairy. So join us next Sunday for a lot of yucks, a lot of laughs, and a good chance to get to know some of your fellow Unity folks in a whole new light.
Thanks. So Patty Pipia, Reverend Patty Pipia will be our guest speaker next week. She's talking on Myrtle Fillmore's healing. How do we heal ourselves? Prayer, silence, forgiveness, in Jesus Christ. A reminder that we have Unity prayer service every Thursday about 11. We hold it in person here, but we also do it on Zoom. It lasts about 15 minutes. If you're interested, just let the center know and that you're coming, and we'll make sure that you're welcome. Or if you want to participate on Zoom, we just need your email address. Course in Miracles every Sunday, led by Joanne Bauman. She's in the back row there. And it's miracle-minded thinking with a focus on universal love and forgiveness. If you haven't been exposed to the Course in Miracles, it's makes it for some lively conversation and for some very great transformation. Don't forget to visit our website. We have a bulletin board. We have an Inspiring Insights tab with interesting articles. We have meditations on the classes tab, and you can view past Sunday services. And also, we had our Wednesday night World Day of Prayer service recorded and put on there too. So if you wanted to come on Wednesday night, we had an hour-long service that was very nice. We had lots of music, lots of testimonials from people on their prayer life, and that is on the website right now. Life Journey Group, near and dear to my heart. We meet on the second and fourth Mondays of the month from 6:30 to 8:15. We're in the middle of a Unity book called The Quest. And it's a very interesting conversation, and it's designed to help you start your own spiritual quest. So don't be bashful and don't feel like you're coming in the middle of something. It's a very welcoming group, and everyone's been on a spiritual quest and a spiritual journey for probably most of their adult lives. So I'm sure you're not behind in any way. So there's about 8 of us that meet, and we would love to see you. Game time, Sandy covered that, so it'll be shortly after church, and we'll have some food and whatever, and social time, and then we'll start the game time. We're always looking for volunteers. We've got an activity committee that we could use some volunteers for. Game night or game afternoon is an example of one of our activities. So we can also use greeters, kitchen help, garden angels for a month or so yet. There's many things that we could use your help on. So reach out to Diane at that Gmail account, or just find her in church service. Okay, Reverend Ron Palumbo is going to be coming. He'll be our guest minister for the first 2 weeks of October. We'll have a potluck following his service. And then we are going to be having the Using the Law of Attraction Wisely seminar on 10/2 from 1 to 5. Costs $60 if you register by 9/25. And he's going to have some follow-up healing classes 10/3 to 10/5 if there's interest among the people that attend on Sunday 10/2. So there are a few brochures out in the lobby. I know there's for sure some on the door to the fireplace if you don't find any on the tables. But he's been giving this seminar all around the country for years, and he's had some great results. He's also a very riveting speaker. So please come on 10/2 and 10/9 to give him some support. And we urge you to consider attending his Law of Attraction Wisely seminar. That's it. Why don't we rise and we'll sing Let There Be Peace on Earth. And let it begin. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And so it is. So join us for a little social time and a cup of coffee and a snack if you have the time. Thank you very much for attending.